I first started socially using cocaine a few years ago. It was simple enough, easy to get, and after snorting a couple of lines, I felt great, and sex was awesome. Last year, I started using it on a regular basis, going through about 2 8-balls a week. 8-ball equals 3.5 grams, with my boyfriend. After snorting it so long, my nose finally got really burnt out on it. I had nosebleeds a lot, and my nose just hurt so much till I didn't enjoy the high anymore. I knew he had been into a lot of shit in the past, so I suggested shooting it, instead. He was so against it, but finally gave in. We pulled some up in a syringe, injected it into my vein, and I finally knew what riding that train truly meant. I could hear the roar of a train so clear, I shook a little, and in a few minutes I was sort of speeding, but loving it. We both started running it, along with a couple of friends. There were good rushes, like that one, and bad ones that made us sick. There were ones that went in our veins smooth, and ones that leaked out, causing bad bruising and numbness. One night, we had done close to a half of an 8, pulling up pretty strong hits, around 40 cc. The more yellow it is in the syringe, the more potent it is. My boyfriend did a hit, got up to wash the needle out, and we heard him fall. I walked into hell when I walked into the bathroom that night. He was in a full-blown grand mal seizure due to overdosing on it, too much too quick. The other guy with us got him up, got him in the car. All I knew to do was to get him cold. He had told me what he had to do years ago when someone he was with OD'd. After I got in the car with him to drive him to the he came to, slurring, disoriented, confused. The seizure lasted about 30 seconds, the disorientedness about 5 minutes, and within 15 minutes or so, he was okay. He got into it really bad after that for a while, but the rest of us were scared into quitting that night. I didn't realize how addicting it was shooting it. Snorting it never was addictive to either of us. He overdosed twice more during that time, the last time he wasn't breathing after the seizure, and I gave him CPR. He seems fine. I'm not sure if he ever suffered any small brain damage during all that or not. Even after a seizure, and scaring the hell out of everyone, he didn't quit. I almost called 911 last time, but he came to, so I waited. I would advise strongly against shooting it. Sometimes you get good coke and sometimes you get really good almost uncut coke. The same amount of the uncut that you usually do with the regular could be an overdose. I've never seen or heard of anyone dying from snorting it, but shooting it, you're playing with fire. All 3 of his overdoses I've noticed came from hitting a main vein, rather than a deoxygenating one, which runs through your body first before going to your heart. A main vein, or artery, hits hard and quick, sometimes causing shaking, seizures, and worse. Also, it was after he had a good bit of coke in his system from previous hits, and doing hits too close together. As I said before, in any case, I wouldn't advise this method. You never know exactly how much you're doing, and exactly which direction it will go in, and besides, you never get pure uncut coke, so you can't be sure what else you're putting into your veins as well. Then you deal with hell itself. The craving and being short-tempered, the always looking for that rush. You will never get one like the first one, we tried for so long to. I shot coke for about 2 months, and I will always have a scar on my arm. He did it a good while longer, so his arms are really scarred. Now I know what tracks are all about. I have to admit, the rush is good, but it's not worth dying over. You can get the same rush from smoking a geek joint, laced with it, and I've never known any fatal effects from that either. I'm not saying there isn't, but I do know there are repeated fatal overdoses from shooting coke. When injected, coke constricts the blood flow, which when shot quick and potent enough, can lead to what I've saw, or respiratory arrest, your lungs freeze, or cardiac arrest, your heart stops. After shooting it for so long, your blood flow becomes difficult, and that fucks a lot of things up for you. Other things you have to worry about with using a needle is hepatitis and air bubbles. If you have any air bubbles in the syringe and they are shot into your vein, you have really screwed up then, it goes to your heart. If your skin isn't completely germ-free, you can get different infections also. The only good outcome I have in my experience was I did lose a few pounds I wanted to get rid of, but hell, a year's supply of diet pills and a membership to a gym would have been less expensive. I really hope no one makes these mistakes we did.